Dungeon
Let's
Doomhands.
talk
Let's
lore.
talk lore.
The
A
podcast.
podcast.
Welcome back. We are up. There's the I said I was going to stop doing it. I am Spencer Krause. This is Christian Alt. Where there he is, and we are back. We're going to talk about role playing. We're going to continue our discussion about sort of proactive role playing, and we're going to give you some examples, which should be quite hilarious because we have
But
nothing really set up, right?
but before we get started, remember, roll high and subscribe.
Right. Roll high and subscribe. Hit that button. This is going to be hilarious. Chris, why don't you DM?
So in our last chat, we talked about a little about how to bring roleplay into combat. So we're gonna do a little scenario of Spencer is gonna be. Who do you want to be?
I'll just play Drake.
You'll play Drake?
I'll play
Okay.
Drake.
Drake is fighting a dragon. Yep.
So
Drake is you just snuck into a room.
Drake is a barbarian, and he snuck into a room. He is chaotic good, and he snuck into a room. Continue.
So you'd have the normal interactions. Drake does what Drake normally does. He sneaks a little too close and pokes the bear, and a fight breaks out. So this dragon stands up really tall right in front of a half-orc barbarian. Who dares come and disturb me?
Right.
Get the hell away!
Right. And Drake, being the chaotic good, would say, "Me, I'm Drake."
Well, here's what describe. Don't just say who you are. Try and describe how you say it too.
So he's going to look at the dragon, and he's this stubborn, strong, almost about to rage Drake, barbarian, famous throughout the lands. He is going to respond to the dragon, come out of the shadows. Light is going to hit his chest, and he's going to say, "I am Drake, and I have come for the bounty."
Even more detail, describe it.
What would you like from me? How would I?
Yeah, what are you doing with your hands? How?
Okay. He says he's not. He's good.
What's your demeanor?
He is. Let's see. He is rolled 11. He is not 100%. I would imagine sure how strong this thing is. So he is going to be taking his. What does he fight with? He fights with his a battle axe out.
Okay.
Sort of pounding it in his hand, and he's going to say, "I'm here for my bounty," getting ready to strike and rage if he has to.
Okay. But I just want you to know the difference of that first versus the last one you did. What is the difference that you notice between the two of them for Drake? How Drake feels in that scene.
So I like this because, first off, the way I was going to do it at the beginning, it was going to be a very boring combat battle because I was just going to rage and go and hit and get blown away unless we had a healer of some kind. The second portion of it, the one where you sort of asked me as the player to describe how my response is going to look and feel in the room, creates the ambiance and creates the. It sort of almost adds to the foreshadowing of Drake's or the dragon. I'm a big Drake fan's inevitable doom. And also, like, what is he there for? What's the bounty?
Yeah,
that's a good, so I like that. That was good.
It gives a little bit more depth into your motivations at the time.
So that was a good example of, I mean, we can do, and you'll see it in our live gameplay. Chris is very good at the combat stuff. Every other Monday, actually this coming Monday is going to be a really good one. That was a good example of combat. So it's like, I like how you did that. You sort of forced me out of my shell a little bit and made me part of the storyteller. That's what it was. Let's do a a shop. Let me run a shop. No,
Okay.
like an interaction in the town. And I know you
Yep.
have something set up here. So who are you gonna be?
Oh, who do I? Am I running it? Am I DM
I'm
or?
gonna I'll DM it.
Okay. Um, I'll be. Let's see here. I'll be Wilbur,
Wilbur, the nice
the very
alligator.
kind,
Yeah.
the Kobold,
Okay. So
cult member.
so Wilbur and Co are in a uh let's
They're
make it.
they're they're in the market district looking for supplies for
And
their
what
rituals.
supply, as a DM I always ask, um what is it that you guys are looking for? Because if
We're
you were in a
finding,
market and you go into a store, you're looking for something.
yeah. Well, we're looking for herbs and other incense and
Okay.
um, things to burn, like dried flowers and the such.
Okay, so you go into, what was this guy's name? You go into Laundry's uh Laundry's, I think it was his name was you go into Laundry's shop of elements where they have all types of trinkets and what was it you're looking for? You're looking for herbs and stuff
Yep.
to make concoctions. So
Hmm.
the first thing I do when we do a shop type thing is I'll ask the characters what is it that they're looking for, so we can
Hmm.
set it up. So now you walk into this store. There's a shopkeeper in the back, and there's one person behind the counter, just like a
Hmm.
regular shop. And there's many different types of herbs, and they're all detailed and labeled. And what
Hmm.
language do you speak?
I would speak Common, Draconic, and I don't remember what else he speaks, but say Elvish too.
Okay,
Just go
so
with those three.
the herbs are labeled in Celestial. So
Okay.
you see it, and you don't know what the herbs. You see them. There's some that look like they
Hmm.
just look like oregano. Some of them look like
Yeah.
garlic. Others look like very magical. You do see the prices.
Hmm. So Wilbur will look around at all the herbs and go and start looking like he's reading the labels and try, sort of just keeping it's like somewhat of an idea of what he's looking at, and then just go around taking his long time to sniff and figure out if he can recognize anything.
Your
Trying to like play off that he knows what he's doing before finally going and
your passive
ah,
perception allows you to see that the store is somewhat
yeah,
empty. And as
yeah.
you're perusing, um, the shopkeep comes over and he says, "Hello, good day. Can I help you find something,
Oh,
lad?"
yeah. I was looking for ginger root and periwinkle flowers, and but I can't read any of these signs. It's not my
Sure,
wheelhouse.
I can help you find
Oh, but
that.
this one here smelled delicious. What is this one? This purple with little red sparkles in it.
Pushing it back on the DM to role play and come
Hmm.
up with some stuff. Oh well, this one with sparkle is sun dust from the east. Um,
I've heard so much about that. That's incredible. Can I
um,
get a little like 2 ounces of that as well?
Sure, no problem. That would be
Fantastic.
five golds. Now let me ask you something, friend. Are you trying to mix potions, concoctions? Do you want something for
Oh,
healing? Is there something? Or
uh,
do you want
just
to?
just some rituals at the local temple. Nothing crazy. I mean, I do experiment
What
with
kind of
some.
ritual?
Uh, just sort of praising the green skull, and
Ooh,
I don't really know what the chants mean. I just sort of say them,
interesting. So you're
looking around, making sure no one's looking at them.
so are you trying to find something you can't find? Because I have something for you for that.
Interest. Well, I, yeah, sure, absolutely.
Well,
Um,
take some of this stardust and grab me that red vial.
Look around, grab you the vial, and continue.
And
Nice.
we'll go
We'll
forward.
see.
Yeah, scene. What's going to happen
I
is
like
he's going
that.
to give you a concoction that increases your. Um, you'll know the direction of what you're looking for.
Nice.
So shopkeep. what would you say I should change or not for the role play of that? I'll tell you what I
Um,
tried to do.
well, no, you tell me what you
So
tried to
what
do.
I tried to do is I tried to set up the room. I tried to set
Hmm.
up and it's easy for DM to do, especially with a market and shop. Again, we've spoken about this in other Let's Talk Lore episodes where the shop and setting it up and role playing it as a DM. Just think about your neighborhood shops that you go into. Like sometimes
Hmm.
a huge store with armor and stuff, you're probably not going to find a manager. There's going to be
Hmm.
a lot of sale oriented
Salesman.
people that
Yeah.
want to sell you stuff that's for cheap, versus like the Underdark painting
Mm.
warehouse that you not warehouse but the artist studio,
Workshop.
yeah, the studio that you went in. The artist is probably going to be in the back working.
Hmm.
And so you're going to have plenty of time to prove that. So you sort of, as a DM, sort of set it up how normal shops would be, and give it a little detail.
Well,
Um,
something that some advice you gave me when I was um, prepping for last week is the senses. When you're describing that room, give the senses of
right.
you see this, you smell this, you hear this, because it's each one of those is a thread that a player can grab and pull.
I'm going to use that in the very next puzzle one that we do. That's hilarious. And one of the other things I tried to do in this short little thing that we just did for the role playing in a shop
Hmm.
was, I don't you I could, and typically what I sometimes do in dungeons is I ask you what you see.
Hmm.
I'm not 100% sure if I did that in this one, but it's your shop, so you don't want to necessarily let the players say, "Oh, well, I see half off." Half off.
Yeah.
You
There's
could.
these,
They could be cursed.
and then what you can do is, oh, those were last week. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No, say sorry.
I forgot to take the sign back if it's been so busy.
Yeah, celestial. It's a celestial thing. But yeah, role
But
playing. Yeah, and I like your role playing innocent people versus a chaotic is like you're like with Wilbur, you're like, oh hey, versus Lone Star,
so
where you're
so
like, no, get out of here.
go
It's
fuck
hilarious.
yourself.
Yeah, exactly. It's hilarious. Um, and I feel like sort of setting up. So the shop was sort of like an example. I don't know if it was a good example, but just an example of how the scene can sort of help you and the players role play if you set it up
Hmm.
correctly and make them feel comfortable, because players are going to know what it's like to be in a shop. So if you set it up like it's a normal shop, then perhaps their real life interactive actual role play will sort of lend itself into the game, I guess, if that makes sense.
And something else that I loved was asking, "What are you here for?
Oh yeah.
What's your purpose here?"
Well, yeah. I mean,
Because
think
then, yeah, it's not you just go into a shop and it's like, "All right, what are you doing? What am I
right,
doing?"
right.
It gives purpose to the
In the
interaction.
real world,
Hmm.
when someone calls me or walks into my shop, the first thing I do is say, "Hello, how can I help you?"
Hmm.
And that's probably what I would imagine that this shop, what we just did, was in a town, a lively town
Hmm.
of humans, let's say, that the guy actually wants to make money. Now, if you're in the
Mm.
Underdark, maybe they're weird down there. Maybe the shop is,
Maybe they like to watch as
yeah,
you hopelessly look through things.
maybe this shop is full of items that they stole from people that came to their shop, and this is endless cycle of non-shopping. Let's do a quick puzzle,
Okay.
and you do the DM, and I'm gonna be my guy Drake again, and do the senses and stuff for
Okay.
to show how the senses can
Mm.
um, sort of broaden the proactive
So
roleplay experience.
you finally make your way down the well that you've been searching for 2 months. The little toy that you've been chasing, you believe, is finally down here at the bottom of this pit. You descend the rope, your feet touch the wet ground, water slowly creeping between your toes. You could feel the moisture in the air, the humidity. You look up and you see some slime on the ceiling. And as you start to walk, it drips down. makes this really disgusting sound as it separates from the ceiling and plops right on the ground in front of you as you walk. You continue through this tunnel just tall enough so that you can duck your head and still make it through, occasionally getting a little streak of slime on the top of your bald head. You come out into a slightly larger room and see three pegs in front of you on a table and a number and four different sized rings stacked around the left column on the table.
Is
You
there?
see these symbols on the wall of those same four objects on the
Mm,
column to the right.
so does the wall look like it's a puzzle? It's like it. So does the wall look like it's a door? Is it just do the trinkets or the pegs or whatever on the table? Do they
No.
look like they? Is there something on the wall? Can I go over to the wall and touch it?
So
And
yeah,
when I
you see this table in the center of the room. You go touch the wall. It feels like a nice hard stone wall, but you can see clearly the paint for these three pegs on the wall that mirror the pegs on the table.
are the
And
pegs
the
in?
only difference is the stacked discs around one column versus the other.
Hmm, okay. Now Drake isn't the smartest person in the world, so
Mhm.
I am going to, as a, I'm not very good at puzzles either, but I'd like to give myself a perception check
Mhm.
and to see if I notice not necessarily how to solve this puzzle, but do I see something in the room that will help me um, discern or figure out what the connection is between the discs and the pegs? And
You walk around the room, and at
that is a
the
natty 20, by
angle
the way.
the angle at which you are standing with your back to the entrance of the room, you see the table in front of you and the pegs and the painting on the wall right behind them. And as you crouch down, you can see the pegs almost line up with the three pegs on the wall. And you see on that right column the painted pictures of those three or those four discs, bigger on the bottom, smaller on the top. And on the table, you see those four discs on the left.
So can I use so
You
okay,
you understand that you have to move from the left to the
right.
right.
Okay. So I'm going to but does Drake so Drake is going to take a peg and he is a barbarian. He's getting frustrated now.
Mhm.
Um, he's going to take the peg and try to move the larger peg over to the left and to see if that solves the
So
and see he's going to take the peg and he's going to move it over, try to
so
see if he can move it.
you grab the peg and you start to try and push it, and the
Hmm.
peg doesn't move. The pegs are fixed. You look down closer at the other ones that don't have any discs around them, and looks like they're almost molded into the table.
So now I am frustrated. Now, this is where a person like me that's role playing,
Hmm.
a player does not know what the hell to do here. Usually I would have my other players help me out and
Yep.
come up with the solution. But since I'm going to be role playing Drake, he's getting very frustrated. And he's
Yep.
going to now strike the table to see what happens. He's going to rage and he's going to deal the blow to the table. And he's going to roll whatever, a
Yeah.
five.
So you are frustrated. You strike the table. You hear a crack from the stone, and you could hear a little bit of a grinding underneath, beneath
What
the stone of the table.
he's going to hit it again. If he hits it again, is it going to crack? Is it
And so you hear that grinding louder and louder. The crack gets bigger across the whole table.
he's going to continue to go?
Right.
And so maybe there's no solution. Can he go over to the wall and see if these things can be?
So you hit it a couple more times, then that grinding sound slowly stops, and it's eerily quiet in the room. You look down. It's like, why not one more for good measure? And you punch right on this table, and you hear another crack, and that crack in the table slowly creates a crack on the floor, rippling out towards the edge of the room. You look around, your feet start to feel a little unsteady. The crack hits the edge, and it splits on, goes left and right, circles all the way around. The entire floor drops.
I hate puzzles.
And then you fall into this
Ah.
water. The rock sinks, and you slowly start floating down this light stream of water, and you see a little dock over on the left.
Now, as a character who failed the puzzle, um,
You don't know you failed the puzzle.
right? Um,
If you successfully took the four discs and moved them from one peg
to
to
the
that
other,
other to the other peg in that
you'd have
same
passed
order,
through.
the floor drops and you fall into water.
End scene. So, okay, let's talk about what worked and what didn't work there. So,
Hmm.
what first thing is this was on the spot, no preparation. Also, it's very hard to do. No excuses. But I think that you're setting up the room. You're just as you said, the senses, smell, the heat, the eeriness, the dripping from the water. That was great. Brings you into it. So now I am sort of cautious about everything, which is why I was like, do I see anything that can help me before I get frustrated and rage? And then I don't know exactly what the puzzle was. I'm not really that great at puzzles, but I just do know to stick with my character, Drake. He would get very easily frustrated and try to and if my characters that we were playing with couldn't figure it out, certainly would start bashing. Now,
Hmm.
if I was a wizard or a
Yeah.
or someone that's smarter, let's say a
Hmm.
druid, I would have to try to solve this thing. And I think one way to role play, because like I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna role play my character, but if I have to solve this because I don't have the strength to break stuff, obviously the DM like you're gonna help and just push us through. But one way to not sort of have it come to a grinding stop is maybe the DM or maybe the players ask for help
Hence. Yeah.
in some way. Um,
Yeah.
and in puzzles specifically, uh, this happened last time we played Agoth Doomhand in Balls two sessions ago in Ball's House of Horrors or whatever it was. Um, I had this whole cool thing set up, and then you guys weren't going towards the pillars that had the animal drawings on them. And
Hmm.
then when you would look at them, you're like, okay, this one has a bear, this one has this. But I would just give you the information. I was like, this one has a bear, and roll me an animal check. And if you got above a 5, you know,
Yeah.
you understand that the bear has a protective quality to it, like mother bear.
Mm.
So the puzzle solution was do something that you protect another player, like heal him or something, and
Hmm.
you did, and then all of a sudden that thing glowed.
Yeah.
But getting that information to you was hard. So maybe sometimes just tell them, make it
Yeah.
easy, give them hints and clues, and that keeps the characters in the role play because I want to role play that puzzle with Drake.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe I need a little bit of juice from the little cheating juice, some A Rod,
Hey,
gummies.
don't get yourself sued.
Yeah, I don't want to. I take that back. Take that back. A Rod's my favorite actual Yankee that there was. There won't ever be one quite like him. But yeah, so I mean, I think that those like just three examples of. I know the puzzle one got a little bit slow, but those are just
But
different examples of how to do it.
it was great. It was a great example of sometimes it does get slow and it's still hard to role play, but when you bring your character in out in those situations, you find solutions for whatever you want. Like there, you as a player were stumped for what to do.
Oh
But
yeah,
you're like, all right, now I personally don't know what to do, but what would Drake do here if he's in this room and he's frustrated? Just like you said, he's gonna start trying to smash things.
right.
And
Um,
that's where the communication comes back and forth. I'm like, for me as the DM, you're just going to start smashing this table. It doesn't have the goal is for you to get through this obstacle in some way. It doesn't have to
right.
be the way I have envisioned it perfectly in my mind because that doesn't matter. It matters if there's an obstacle and you guys have to do something to get through this obstacle to get to the next place.
Right. And I
But if you're role playing of like I'm gonna get angry and start beating the crap out of everything, then I'm like, all right, there's a solution.
yeah, and I think that a good thing, going back to what we said earlier, chaotic good. He is going to be very chaotic in his solution. So it doesn't necessarily, if he was a, let's just say a good order, he'd sit there and try to figure the thing out. And I'd be asking you for clues to try to, but
Yeah,
chaotic. He might. It's not an excuse to not know how to do something, but it's the character. And like,
yeah.
I know that playing with my players, they're gonna know because I role play my Drake that I'm gonna get frustrated. I'm ready, and like Matt is always gonna be like, or Aaron's gonna be like, all right, you know what, Spence, have at it. Let's go.
Well, that's where all of my characters came in. My characters were there solely for the point of reining Drake in. Like, no, no, Drake, I know what you're gonna do. Please don't murder everyone in this
Yeah,
tavern. We need to talk to them, get information.
Hulk smash. That's
Yes.
And then one last thing about the role playing. I mean, I think that you said goal. There is a specific goal for the encounters, and role playing again is one of the to me it's one of the harder things to get everyone to do at the same time. It doesn't have to happen at
Hmm.
the same time, but you have a goal, and that goal is to run that puzzle well, and have the person get through it. So
Hmm.
if I letting things happen and running it in that way that you did sort of keeps me in character because you can see as I got stumped, I'm coming out of character.
Hmm.
So the DM needs to notice those actions in the game and sort of put it back
Yeah.
together.
Those are the moments where you could see, oh yeah, you notice that Drake is getting frustrated. So, Aaron, if you notice that Drake is getting frustrated, and as he's punching this, you can see this starting to happen.
Oh yeah.
Create
Um,
those opportunities for another player to interact with you and start bringing out. It's like, oh, don't get so angry there, my friend.
or you could.
What you're doing is working, but let's. I think we can get through this somehow.
I think that like, and also if they're really really stumped, just just jump past the puzzle and say, you know what, as you hit the table as you did, you crack the room and or whatever.
Mm,
You could also, if people are really getting frustrated with it, just change the thing and bring something in from a character's
mm,
backstory. The Ware Farm puzzle. I was like, you know what? I guess they're getting the key ready to go through. But do they know that there's a dungeon underneath? Do they? So
One
I
of the
so
many
I
times that we solved the puzzle without knowing that the puzzle existed.
yeah I wanted to make sure that the characters knew that there was more there and it was
Mm,
in the ground. And so what I did was I put
the ship,
the ship's staff coming out of the ground, and I put on that staff on that
the mess. Yeah.
your character backstories, Arena's family logo on it,
Hmm.
which was hilarious, and that sort
This
of
is great.
created some incentive to continue to go.
Hmm.
But yeah, role playing. I mean, I guess it's not. Those are three good examples, I think, of how you
I
do
think
it.
I think the biggest hesitation for people role playing or getting or being more open to it is just being comfortable around the people you're playing with. Like it doesn't matter if you look like a fool or you screw something up. I've bombed plenty of campaigns in my day from RPing something stupid that my character would do and just completely wrong words to the wrong person. Random things happen, but
It's funny that you
how many random things happen in a game of D&D anyway?
it's funny that you said the word goal because the proactive book, the Game Master's book, talks about the goals. So every encounter, there's a goal.
Hmm.
Every NPC that you're running has a specific goal. Whether he's getting up in the day and going to do his work and come home to feed his family, or he's trying to sell something, or the guards are trying to protect this, if you have your goals written out for the possible interactions that you've set up, that will help bring out the role play, because these guys are looking for this, and if you have that, then now you're going to hide it, or you're going to offer it up. Like, is it good?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to do when you're playing, is to try to manipulate the role playing. And I'm going to try to do that more when I DM, see where that goes. And
Nice.
you know,
Well, one other little role play tip. Um, if you think about how you walk through the day, you always have something on your mind. There's something there in the back of your mind that's distracting you, that you're thinking about when you're walking on the street, or you're doing something else. So think about what your character would be lost in. Like, for a character that I'm building now, it's a artificer, focuses on a study, so she's going to be lost in the plans, the blueprints, the ideas that she has. So her interactions are going to bring that constant attraction, or that constant distraction, into all of her interactions.
yeah, I mean, for sure. And I love that. Um, I think that's a good stopping point. I feel like,
Yeah.
as you DM and as you play, role playing your character again doesn't have to be it's not just voices.
No,
It's
not at all.
it's your alignment, it's your goal. What is your goal there? I am Drake, and I'm here for my bounty.
Hmm.
Release the fire breath. He's dead, but he was there,
He
and he
was
was
there.
looking for his bounty.
He stood with his battle axe, sweat glistening off of his perky nips.
Yeah. And he rages, and immediately the nips are no longer, they inflate.
Invert.
They inflate. They invert. All the blood goes to his muscles and deflate his
Yep.
nips.
Hmm.
All right. So listen, use those, and also give us some recommendations on how to role play. Those are just
Yep.
3 examples: combat, shop, and puzzle. Roll
Hmm.
high and subscribe, and we will be back briefly for, who knows, a little bit more D&D talk. But
Yeah.
roll high, subscribe. Thanks for tuning in.
This is Rena. Rena rolled low during death saves and didn't get healed by his group. Don't be a Rena. Roll high and subscribe.